You know, I've been a fan of George R.R. Martin just putting structures with a forgotten history, as well as how cool London Bridge looked before it fell down. So I guess I'll create a random lore combining both. And so I got my ass up to paint, placed down some mountains to block moisture and gather it down in a lake. Then down the water goes to a river into the ocean. Then let's just say some scary monsters reside within the lake. So here is the draft. Here we have our bridge. Let's call it Primsriver. Then we have place civilization on both sides of the river, so that there's trade and reason for a bridge to exist. And we got some nice river delta. After that, I dragged my ass to Incarnate and proceeded to use the free version to do a better version of the map. I just exactly replicated what was in the draft. It's nothing complex, just a basic idea. Then I thought the river delta I made was ugly, so I made it uglier. Also tried adding trees. I am not good with those yet. And then I finally made some labels. And this is the finished work. It is just a simple map. It looks more like a zoomed-in part of a map than a map itself, really. Then I thought of something. Why not create a larger map to provide more context? So I dragged my ass back to Incarnate to do that. So I added more mountains, a desert, some thick jungle, and more excuses to force trade to pass through our little bridge. And here is the finished product. Now it's lore time. Let's familiarize ourselves with the regions first. We have Greater Caldera Lake and Lesser Caldera Lake, North Caldria, South Caldria, the Southern Sea, a rainforest, grasslands, and finally, a desert. Fur, leather, and cattle often originate from the far north. Exotic goods like silk, jade, porcelain, and tea then originate from the caravans that pass through the desolate desert. These goods arrive in North Caldria. Merchants in North Caldria then trade these with South Caldria in exchange for wood that originate from the forest nearby, and also for spices and ivory, which originate from traders from beyond the Southern Sea. These spices and ivory are then one of the main goods that are bought by the traders originating from the desert and the far north. Lastly, if you want to ask why couldn't the far north traders sell wood since they have access to a rainforest, I dare you to transport tons of logs through a mountain, and then tell me if it was an enjoyable experience. And now let's zoom in a bit to our main region. All right, so we have here Primsriver Bridge, which is the reason everything exists. This is the bottleneck in which all trade flows. Further upstream are ruins of what seems like a bridge. Beyond the ruins is Lesser Caldera Lake, which is full of horrific aquatic creatures. These aquatic creatures sometimes make their way through the river, but they cannot get past through the bridge. The aquatic monsters seem strongly averse going near the bridge. However, there has not been a single observed physical effect of the bridge to the monsters. Some say they are afraid of the other aquatic monsters residing on the Greater Caldera Lake, which sounds racist. Also, there has been not a single sighting of aquatic monsters in the Greater Caldera Lake, so those are just boundless rumors. Let's proceed to the river delta. The river delta is called Broken Rocks, and for a good reason. Beyond the Primsriver Bridge, the river bifurcates into several distributaries and seems to cut through solid bedrock. Canyons, jagged rock formations, and mostly unfavorable barren terrain made the broken rocks impossible to cross by horseback and extremely difficult to cross by foot. However, there are several trails and even traces of roads that can be found in broken rocks. Ruins of fortifications can also be found throughout these trails, indicating that some sort of civilization existed at some point here. Still, hardly anyone ventures through the broken rocks, since it is infested by pirates who plunder merchant vessels trying to cross the Greater Caldera Lake instead of passing through the Primsriver Bridge. Bandits who prey on merchants further upstream also seem to use broken rocks as hideouts. And finally, let us talk about the bridge. In antiquity, the entire Caldrian Valley was only divided into North Caldria and South Caldria, ruled by their own respective kings. During this time, the bridge was considered as a shared border between the two realms. However, a famine caused an era of turmoil which caused both North and South Caldria to erupt into civil wars. In the midst of the turmoil, a wealthy and influential foreign merchant by the name Paldrin Prim offered substantial financial assistance to both kings, who were barely holding on to power. In exchange, he wanted to be elevated to nobility and be granted the bridge. The kings agreed on a short notice, and an official document signed by the two kings was made, and thus the Primsriver Freehold was created. After the era of turmoil, the two kings were unfortunately disposed of, and the entire Caldria broke into several petty kingdoms. However, Paldrin Prim managed to hold onto the bridge by bribing surrounding rulers and maintaining a mercenary standing force. Fast forward to the current age, the bridge has grown into a bustling city and trade hub where people and goods from Caldria and beyond pass through. The Prims have somehow managed to increase their territory to fully control trade. They are also rumored to fund the pirates to ensure that transversing the Great Caldera Lake is as dangerous as possible. And I guess that's it. This video took longer than I expected it to do, but well, it's done. Smash that like button and click that subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Comment if you have something to say. I'm tired. I'll go read some manga.